Hey gang, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. I'm continuing my series on taking these incredible isolated vocal tracks. Next up is Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. The song is called I Love Rock and Roll. Before we get started, if you wouldn't mind, please like and subscribe to my channel. That would be really cool. I'm coming up on 1 million subs. I'd really love to hit that 1 million mark soon. And I have a singing course for all of you guys interested in wanting to learn how to sing. You can find it right here at kentemplinvocalacademy.com, where I have a free singing forum over there as well. Now, I don't say this lightly because if you guys think, I don't think I can sing or this, that, or whatever. Remember, all these guys started somewhere. We're going to talk about Joan in a minute. And, it's not as tough as you might think. I started out as a guitar player and taught myself how to sing. And if you look, I have several renditions of different things, but I've got a really cool rendition of Joan Jett. I'm going to put that in the subject line so you can check out how we did, how my students did. But I point this out because we all learned this. We all had to learn how to sing, and it's just a matter of applying yourself, especially you instrumentalists out there. You know what it takes to get good at an instrument. Your voice is an instrument, and you just practice it as such, and you'll get good at it too, okay? So I'm gonna dive right in. Now, I wanna point out something I really like doing is kind of a setup for all this. And imagine Joan Jett is on that side of the glass. She hasn't recorded the song yet. We're about to sneak into the studio, and we got a backstage pass, and we're gonna listen to what became one of the greatest female rock anthems of all time. We're gonna peer into that in just 1 second. Now, I wanna talk about Joan. I said, everyone has a past, or they started somewhere. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Joan was born like in 1958, okay? She was in the band The Runaways in 1975. That puts her, it's 17 years old. Pretty young for a rock chick back then. I mean, there weren't a lot of rock chicks around. There was Lita Ford, of course, and she went on with her later career, did a duet with Ozzy, as you guys know, and some other stuff, and, Cherry Curry and some, but whatever. But in The Runaways. And then she went on to do her own thing, and I think this released in 81, which would have made her 23, right? So imagine Joan Jett, we get our backstage passes. We're gonna go in the studio and we're gonna hear her sing this.
I saw him dancing there by the record machine. I knew he must have been about 17. He was going strong, playing my favorite song, and I could tell it wouldn't be long that he was with me, yeah, me. And I could tell it wouldn't be long that he was with me, yeah, me. Singing, I love rock and roll, so another time in the jukebox, baby. I love rock and roll, so take your time and dance with me.
All right, now the producer says, pretty good, Joan. I think it's a take. Let's keep that one, right? And we just got to hear the original version of this iconic, classic, legendary, epic piece. I think that's really cool. I don't know if I just get really excited, but it's really cool. Now, some elements about this is the vocals are really low. Saw him standing there by the record machine. Knew he must have been about 17, right? I kind of get the feeling that there's like a punk element to it, and there is. And so the whole band had kind of a punk vibe, but it wasn't really punk. So it was just kind of like everybody was carving out their own new direction. And most of the bands of these eras were looking to be unique and different. They might borrow from some things or be influenced by some things, but there was a uniqueness. And it wasn't really until like the 80s and 90s where a lot of bands went, oh, I'm going to sound like this guy, or the record company really is more aptly put, where the record company would say, this band had a hit and we're going to sign something just like it and do a band just like that. And by the time they chased down this hit, by the time they got the record out, that hit was gone and done. And so it was just, it never achieved that, that level of. Now, not to say that there weren't bands like the Beatles running around where everyone went, wow, the Beatles, we want to write songs like that. So, entire Oasis, for example, built entire careers on sounding like John Lennon or the Beatles or whatever. So there's certainly an element of that. But I just pointed out that in this time, everybody's being innovative, they're being creative, they're coming up with new stuff. So now let's listen to with the track, because the track is just kind of trashy and it wasn't meant to be like perfect, but it's really cool. Garage band meets punk band rock stuff for this type of music. Check it out. Oops, I guess I didn't line it up. Oh wait, my bad. So I won't be able to show you that. What I sometimes have to do is if I get an instrumental track, I have to line it up with the vocal and so forth. But anyway, here let me just play the instrumental alone so you can hear it. Saw him standing there by the record machine. Knew he must have been about 17. Right. Okay, I'm singing. Sorry, I'm in the wrong spot of the song too. That's 2 strikes out. Anyway, but so you get the flavor of what I'm talking about, right? It's really interesting how all these sounds married themselves together. So let's continue. Here we go.
It's going strong, playing my favorite song. And I could tell it wouldn't be long that he was with me, yeah, me. And I could tell it wouldn't be long that he was with me, yeah, me. Singing, I love rock and roll. It's really like time in the jukebox, baby. I love rock and roll. So take your time and dance with me. Ow!
Okay, now I have to say this again. Kudos to Joan. What a bad A for a 17-year-old to be in the Runaways and then have her own solo career doing this at age 23 in a time that was really dominated by guys. I mean, the whole thing was a very guy-dominant era and time. And these bad A chicks running around going, I can do that, man. Maybe I can do it better, right? And they were running around showing up a lot of bands at the time, particularly Joan, Lita, and some Heart, of course, and Pat Benatar, etc. But there weren't a lot around, Susie Quattro, but there weren't a lot of singers, of course, Janis Joplin earlier, but and there's a few. I'm not saying there weren't, but if you look at the total sum of them and the total sum of the British invasion and some of the American rock bands and stuff at that time, there were very few female artists doing this, and Joan certainly was a pioneer and led the pack to this. So let's continue. Here we go.
Smiled, so I got up and asked for his name. That don't matter, he said, 'cause it's all the same. So can I take you home where we can be alone? The next we were moving on, he was with me, yeah, me. Next we were moving on, he was with me, yeah, me. Singing, I love rock and roll. We're not time in the jukebox, baby. I love rock and roll. So take time and dance with me. Ow!
Okay, now also, not that there haven't been love-hate songs written before, okay? They're certainly out there. But it's interesting that she goes on to write stuff, I hate myself for loving you and whatnot. And how many female artists you have, I could talk about a few, like Lizzie Hale Hailstorm, other artists that have come out and just kind of taken that whole concept and written songs maybe to a much more intense level. But Joan did it first, man. Joan did it first, straight up. It's really cool.
Take you home where we can be alone. Wow, wow. Next we're moving on. He was with me, yeah, me. And we'll be moving on and singing that same old song, yeah, with me, singing.
Now, before we get into this, I want you to imagine too, the song isn't that incredible from a melodic standpoint. The song isn't that incredible from a range standpoint or a singing standpoint. Pretty much anybody can sing this song, right? But they can't sing it with the attitude. And that's what Joan had, was pure, unadulterated attitude. Just, guitar down to her knees like Jimmy Page. And, she was a bad A, man. I'm telling you, she was like, I don't know, I wouldn't want to meet her in a dark alley and have her get pissed off at me. Now, I know that, Pat Benatar put another notch in my lipstick case. You better, put me in my place, hit me with your best shot. So there were certainly those duke it out kind of tunes and I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say pissy, but, saucy sort of songs. I'll think of the right word in a minute. But Joan was way up there in the food chain of that, I got to tell you. So let's continue the gang vocal. She brings in guys to do her background vocals so that she's got sort of a macho support in the gang vocal at the end. And the notorious guitar octave thing, right? The minute we hear that, we're expecting someone like Muse to steal it like, go, call me, you know, like he does on one of his tunes. We're expecting somebody just to take that lick, a rapper or something, and to turn it into wow, wow, like Wild Thing or whatever, because it's that notorious, right? So let's continue. You guys may not know any of those songs, but you guys out there that do, you know what I'm talking about. All right, here we go.
I love rock and roll. Put another dime in the
Sassy was the word I was looking for. Sorry.
jukebox, baby. I love rock and roll. So come and take your time and dance with me. I love rock and roll. So put another dime in the jukebox, baby. I love rock and roll. So come and take your time and dance with me. I love rock and roll. So put another dime in the jukebox.
And it continues in a big gang vocal chorus thing. So, and by the way, too, back then, other than maybe Kiss and a few other bands, there weren't really a lot of like trashy sort of, you know, congregant, you know, background vocals, you know, a bunch of gang guys out there singing stuff like that. So they set a precedent. They set, you know, trend. They were trendsetters, pioneers of this stuff. And, you know, it's really cool because a lot of bands came along and kind of copied this stuff. So kudos to you, Joan, man. You know, you're a rock star and you're there from day one out there leading the way for a lot of other people for some great, you know, good old garage band rock stuff. So thank you guys for joining me, and definitely stick around and check out my next video.